Sometimes I hear, but I can't understand what they say.
This interview is being conducted for the Veterans History Project for the Library of Congress. The veteran's name is Clarence Busch. And this interview is being conducted by Will Hines. So, Mr. Busch, you said you grew up in Walhalla in Oconee County?
Yes, that's right.
And were you raised on a farm? Can you kind of talk about your upbringing?
I grew up on a farm.
Grew up on a farm. And so you grew up kind of during the Depression. And you spent, I guess, your teenage years were in the Depression, correct?
That's right.
And did you know that there was a depression going on, or was it just, normal farm life for you?
Well, I was young then, but that depression, I think it started in 1929, when the stock markets all failed enough. And on about 29 and 30, it wasn't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But 1931, 32, 33, and 34 was the worst years of all of it.
Mm-hmm. And did you know that the depression was going on while, during those years? Did you see a change in your lifestyle?
Yes, I did.
And was your father, were y'all still working on the farm and doing all of that? And you survived it okay, did you? Or
that's right.
So you got through it okay?
Yes, got through fine.
And was your father just a farmer, or did he have any other type of job?
No, he was a farmer.
Okay. And you grew up, which school did you go to growing up?
I went to Fairfield country school out in the country there.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, there wasn't any school buses, and some of the kids had to walk as far as 4 miles on old muddy road. The road wasn't paved.
Mm. Did you have to walk to school, or did you?
Yeah, I had to walk. Everybody did.
Wow.
There were no school buses.
Did you get to? Did you play any sports in high school? Did y'all have any sports?
I didn't finish. Go to high school after I got out of the Navy, and then I went back.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you decided to enlist and left high school. Is that correct?
Let's see. I decided to enlist. Go in back when everybody had to register for the draft. And they had to register on the 16th day of October. Let's see, what year? 16th of October, 1940. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Had to go to the little school, Bethlehem schoolhouse, and register.
Wow.
So I thought it over, and I decided that I thought I'd rather be in the Navy than the Army. So the next day I went to the recruiting office in Greenville to see about getting in the Navy.
And did you
volunteer?
Did you take the bus to the recruiting office in Greenville?
Did I what?
Did you take the bus to the recruiting office in Greenville from Oconee County, from Walhalla? Did you take a bus, or how did you get to Greenville?
Somebody took me, I believe. I believe they did. Had to get up early in the morning, about 4 o'clock. I remember my mother got up and cooked breakfast for me before I left.
Wow. So during the 30s, did you work in the CCC?
Yes, I was in the CCC for 2 years.
Wow. And what did you do with that?
I was an assistant leader, and I worked as a crewman, and then it's 30. And
wow.
Up next to Caesar's Head Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
We had a side camp, and first before we got the side camp opened up, that main camp was there at Paris Mountain in Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to drive back and forth up there. We was making a road from there where the camp was up to go into the highway that went up over Caesar's Head Mountain.
And so what were you taking back and forth?
And we drove, it's 30 miles. And I was assistant leader and worked the crew of men. I had them all by myself. Wow. And we went up there. So, and I worked, there's a big pile of rock all on the side of the road there. Then CC boys that was a assistant leader overworked them. They busted the rocks up with sledgehammers to get them ready for the rock crushers put on that road that's making up that mountain to tie in with that highway that goes up Caesar's Head.
And what made you join the CCC? Just having a job?
Well, back then there wasn't any jobs already, except working at sawmills and apple orchards and cotton mills. And the old cotton mills, I think they paid about $9 to $10 a week. Is what the woman told me that her and her husband salary they's getting when they married, working in the cotton mill. And you had to know the boss be a buddy here to get a job there. And they started them camps to give them college students like Clemson jobs when they got out of got through college. $30 a month.
Wow.
All their day.
Oh my gosh. So
that didn't last too long. Then they started letting other people join. And that's whenever I joined. I stayed in there 2 years.
Stayed in there 2 years, and then that's when you decided to enlist in the Navy after those 2 years were up?
Yeah, that's when I told you everybody had to register for the draft. They was getting ready for World War II.
And I guess the military knew that something was happening with Europe, with Hitler invading all those places, because Japan had not attacked yet, but I guess America knew they were going to war, so that's why you had to register for the draft. Did you know anything was happening?
Well, I've been hearing about that. And you know, that war started first with Europe.
Right.
Germany and other countries.
And so did you think that it was so far away that it wasn't going to involve you, or did you realize that this might be something
well, they kept talking that they're going to draft people in the service. Then finally they had that day, 16th of October, everybody had to register for the draft. It's going to have to go in.
And how old were you whenever you registered? 23?
Let's see, 23. Yeah, I was 24 when that happened out there, and I went in the year before that. I'd been in 13 months when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor.
Okay. So you woke up early, your mom made you breakfast, and you went to Greenville to enlist in the Navy.
That's right.
And you said you took a train from Greenville to where? Where did you take the train to?
We took it to Raleigh, North Carolina, where we were sworn in the Navy the next day. But they put me in charge of the bunch, and one other little guy, let's see, what was it? McDowell, I believe was his name. But there's two of us to start with, left on the train. And all the way to Raleigh, we stopped all along picking up recruits. We had about a train load time we got to Raleigh. So we spent the night there. And then the next morning we had to ship off in the naked, you know, and take a physical. And I think everybody passed it. Then we were sworn in to the Navy.
You were sworn in Raleigh?
Yeah, Raleigh. Then we went from there to the Norfolk training station. Went through 5 weeks of training. It's supposed to have been 12, but they're rushing everybody through as fast as they could, getting ready for the war. So,
what type of training did you go through? Did you have, since you were in the Navy, did you have to know how to swim? All these types of things.
If you didn't know how to swim, they let you go teach you. Had a guy, that's all he did, was teach them how to swim.
Wow.
Everybody had to know how to swim. Let's see, what else was I going to say?
What type of training did you go through?
Oh, I went through several schools too. I went to, from boot camp, after we got through training, we had to go to the administration building and take an examination to see what job would be best suited for in the Navy, and I got aviation. and along the others did too. And they sent us down to Jacksonville, Florida. It's a brand new station down there, and the barracks brand new, bunks, everything brand new, and the shops too. Everything was brand new, and I was in the first class that went through that school. It's Aviation Metalsmith School.
Okay, so Aviation Metalsmith School. So is that basically a mechanic? Did you have to learn how to work on all the planes?
Yeah, we had to know everything about an airplane, except the engine and the electronics and the electrical part.
So you worked on the actual structure of the plane, repairing a plane. If there were bullet holes in it, you would have fixed that, correct?
Yeah, we had to do that.
Okay, so what plane did you have to learn? Did you have to learn the P-40? Is that what you studied?
We had just the ones we had on the Fort Allen there, our own.
Okay, and what were those? Do you remember what planes those were?
Well, we had them PBYs, was seaplanes, Catalina's. Maybe you've heard of them.
Yes, sir, I have.
And we had them big old, let's see what they call them.
The P-40?
Big old seaplanes.
Seaplanes. The grumbling Hellcat?
That's the same as the Mars. You've heard of the Mars seaplanes the Navy had?
Mars. I don't know if I have, actually.
Big old seaplane, 2-deckers.
Wow.
I know I flew in one from Oakland, California to Hawaii one time. It took 14 hours in the air flying with them others, 4-engine C-54s. It only took 12 hours in them.
It's a long flight.
And
so you spent 5 weeks in Jacksonville learning how to work on these planes?
I went to that school there. It was 24 weeks.
The school was 24 weeks?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I graduated on the 24th of May. I started, I think in January. I know, after boot camp, I got through boot camp training. I got about a week's leave, I think it was. And then I reported from there to that school. It's brand new and everything. It took about 2 weeks before the school started. We had to set up all the bunks in the barracks, and all the equipment in the shops, and everything.
How was boot camp? Did you do okay in boot camp?
Yeah, I did fine.
You did fine? Well, I guess being raised on a farm.
One guy didn't do too well.
Really?
We was out, that's freezed to death on the edge of the ocean there, drilling. And a bunch of seagulls flew over, and that one sailor, he pointed his gun up pointing at that seagull, and that platoon commander made him stand there for 1 hour holding his gun up there. Punishment for doing that.
Man, that's funny.
And
So you graduated the 24th of May,
1941.
1941.
41.
And so you were sent there directly to Pearl Harbor, or did you go to San Francisco?
I was sent from there to the receiving station in San Diego.
San Diego.
For further assignment. And I stayed there 1 month. They assigned me to Naval Air Station at Pearl Harbor. And I was there 13. I was in the Navy 13 months. And the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor.
So you went to San Diego for a month. And what did you do in San Diego?
Well, they make you do something to keep busy, give you a job. So that old floating dud, old Ard, they had us, their chicken, it seemed like it's good paint off, and then painting it back with new paint.
They'd make you chip off the paint?
Yeah, just to give us something to do. It's a hot weather too. It's a hot, you couldn't hardly stand it.
Ooh. So you went from San Diego out to Pearl Harbor, and did you take a ship or a plane?
Let me say, wait a minute. I believe I took a ship. It might have been the Tidewater. No, it wasn't the Tidewater. Let's see. I believe it was a transport ship, the best I remember.
Mm-hmm.
That's been so long ago. That's to think of all.
Yes, sir. So you get to Pearl Harbor, and what do you think about Hawaii? Was it beautiful?
Yeah, it was beautiful. And I've covered about the whole island there while I was there.
Really?
You could take a trip all the way around.
So you explored the island a lot?
Yeah. And me and my buddies, one of them had a car, we all worked in the same shop together. And we'd go out on the other side of the mountain over there, the beach. I can't think of the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd lie around on the beach with the swimming trunks on. I've got pictures in my album showing some of that.
That's awesome.
But that way, back then, to get to the other side of the island, you had to go from Honolulu, go up on the mountain, what they call the Pally. That's where that military cemetery is, in an old volcano
Wow.
crater, what one used to be. The volcano's dead now. And then there's a Pally. Then you go, it's so windy up there, you have to hold your hat, or it might blow it off down below. I know one time it said it, but the guy was on a motorcycle and it picked him up, motorcycle and all, carried him off down below.
Whew. Wow. So where were you stationed at Pearl Harbor? Where in Pearl Harbor were you working every day? Were you working at an airfield?
There's a Naval Air Station there, working on planes. It's in the middle of Pearl Harbor. That Fort Island is just a small island, and the harbor went all the way around it. And the buildings on each side, the hangars, the barracks, everything. There's just room in the middle for the runway for the planes.
Do you remember what that airfield was called? What the name of the airfield was?
Let me see. Now, back years ago, that before I went there, there's on the other side toward Pearl Scene, on that side of Fort Island, they called it Luke Field. I think the Army was on that side back then. And let's see. What else do you want to know?
Oh, yes, sir. I was just wondering what the name of the airfield was, but I can't remember the names of those airfields right now, and but it's quite all right. So you're there I guess you're there for a few months, and the Japanese attack. And so can you kind of describe that day? It was a Sunday morning. Can you kind of talk about your experience of them attacking? Were you awake before you heard the planes? Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll tell you later on. You can read my story.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
read it too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you, me and my buddy John L. Carney, well, we usually went on Liberty together, and we went to Honolulu that Saturday. Before that happened, that next morning, and we got two little Hawaiian shoe shine boys to shine our shoes, and they was talking about having blackouts. So it turned out the next night we was having them. Next night after that.
Wow.
And I always believed that they knew something about what was going to happen that morning. But that morning when that happened, I heard the next, well, sailors are all sleeping in like they always do on Sunday mornings.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that explosion. And I jumped up and looked out the window, and that whole aircraft hangar there was in flames burning. And it burned up all the planes inside and all this big seaplane parts around next to it on the outside. Then they cut loose bombing on all them ships over there. They right up against Fort Island.
And could you see that happening? Could you see the ships being bombed?
I got a bird's eye view of everything.
And so, did you hear the planes just flying over, or were they flying more towards the aircraft or the
They was
ships
coming
right now?
from that Now that first wave of bombers, there wasn't nothing we could do. We couldn't get them at our battle station and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second wave of bombers came in 45 minutes later. And that's what was all at the battle station. And then the guns and stuff.
And so you jump up and you're looking out the windows, and where do you go from there? What is going through your head?
What I was going to tell you. I ran downstairs, and the Chief Master at Arms had a stick knocking all the glass out from the doors and windows to keep the concussion. It's just the noise of that. All them bombs going off and everything on them ships. And he was knocking all the glass out to be on the safe side. And then I went outside. Then the Navy Commander Randall was standing out there, and he was getting, we went out the door there. So I think it was about 6 or 8 of us he grabbed, and he took us out to the flagpole. And he said that was no drill, that was a real thing. Then he took us into the army there in the administration building, right next to the flag, and we checked out our guns and ammunition. And he said he had us to go with him up on top of it, walk over there and go up on the flat operation building, flat top building, and stand up there with their guns.
And what guns did you have?
We had them old M1s, I reckon, World War I.
Oh, the 1903 bolt action?
Dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And when then that second wave of bombers come, we were all prepared there. And they come toward Honolulu back to Pearl Harbor. And they was flying so low you could see the pilots. And I could see the bombs dropping, the bombs on the ships and all. This plain view, bird's eye view on top of that flat top building, seeing everything all around that whole area there.
And so were they strafing the airfields? Were they strafing you?
Yeah, they're strafing the bullets all the time they was bombing. And our barracks had pieces chipped off of the concrete building, big old building. It's covered nearly a block long, and everything was in that building, barracks and mess hall and ship service store, barber shop, everything, post office, everything, all in that one big building.
Did any planes strafe you while you were on top of the building?
Straight with bullets? No, they didn't want to get hit for the building.
Okay. And so when the second wave of bomber was coming in, they were flying over you and you were shooting at them with the old bolt action? Yeah,
whenever he said, come out sparring, the commander was up there with us.
Wow. And how long did that second wave last? How long do you think you were up there on top of that building?
Let me think a minute. It don't seem like I was up there much over an hour. That's that. There was about 375 or 80 of them bombers came in there.
Mm-hmm.
2 waves, of them, 45 minutes apart. I think it was 5 aircraft carriers that brought them planes in. They was 80 miles out at sea when they took off to go off the carriers to go do that.
Mm-hmm. And so after the planes have left and you get off the building, you come down from the building, and what do you do the rest of the day?
Let's see, what did I do? Let me think of what did I do?
Were you helping the wounded? Were you...
Well, I remember coming back off of the flight operation building. I went back to the barracks. In the mess hall, they had that whole mess hall. They had sailors all over the floor and laying on tables, treating them, and then taking them out and putting them on the boat out there in front of the barracks and carrying them over across the harbor over to the Navy Yard, over to the hospital.
Hmm.
I remember that. After I come back down off of the flight operation building, I went in there, but now I saw all that happening. It's awful.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And so, did you go out to sea, or did you go help start clearing wreckage that day, or did you stay near your battle station? What did you do?
The rest of the day?
Mm-hmm.
I know that night, but they had us to go over on the loop fields, the other side of the runways over there, and with our guns. And I remember we had to spend the whole night over there, sitting on the ground.
Protecting the planes?
In case they came back.
Wow.
And I remember one plane flying over high, and we shot at it, but I think we found out later that it was one of our own planes coming in.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, we spent that whole night, after that, over there on the ground, sitting around with our guns, in case they came back.
Wow. And so you spent the next month or so, clearing wreckage, or were you doing a lot of those jobs, or were you still working on planes?
Did I do what?
Were you rebuilding? Were you helping to rebuild Pearl Harbor the next month after that, or were you still working on planes? Or were you clearing wreckage?
Well, what we did there, we worked night and day, repairing them planes. It was shot full of our own plane with bullet holes.
Mm-hmm.
We put temporary patches on them. Just take a flat piece of aluminum, drill holes through it, and screw it onto the plane. That's enough to keep the planes flying. But after everything calmed down, 2 or 3 weeks later, we went back and put nice permanent patches back over those. Took the old temporary ones off.
Mm-hmm. And so you were doing that to fighter planes and every type of plane after that? Or just the seaplanes that you guys had?
It was just on after that, but let's see, of course, overhaul or send the repair department. We had to repair them planes off them aircraft carriers too. They'd bring them in there.
Wow.
Even let's see, what's that place in Australia? We worked on airplanes and we put radar in them.
Wow.
What's that country? Place in Australia next to it.
New Zealand?
What?
The country beside Australia?
Yeah.
As New Zealand is close to Australia.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
New Zealand. Yeah. We had a lot of them planes in the hangar all the time.
Wow.
During the war.
That's unusual.
And
so did you see any Japanese plane get shot down?
I seen it shot down.
Any Japanese planes get shot down?
Yeah. I was going to tell you now that one that I shot at, and I don't think my bullet caused it,
Mm-hmm.
but I saw it. I watched it. And I saw it crash, and over on the other side of the runways over there in the harbor, and I saw the wing fall off of it. Wing fall off, and down it went.
Wow.
So 2 weeks later, they got the plane up out of the water and brought it up there by the hangar. And it had that dead Japanese in it.
Mm.
And it was out at noontime. And boy, that smell, odor, I couldn't stand it. I just couldn't eat no dinner that day. He'd been in there 2 weeks, and the crabs had eaten the flesh off of his face.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
that's it. Now I've got in my album, that plane, I've got a clipping of the rising sun in there. You know, on that planes they had a big round red ball painted on them.
Mm-hmm.
Where ours had the star on it.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you clipped a piece off of the...
This fabric, this cover, and I cut a piece off and put it in my album over there.
Wow.
And I wrote on there, I think, a souvenir of that, off of that plane.
Wow.
And I wish, now I could have took a lot more things off of that plane, but I only realized what it meant years later.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sailors, they took all kinds of things off.
Yes, sir. Well, those things are worth a lot of money now, too.
I just cut that one little red piece of the rising sun off.
That's neat.
Now their planes had that red ball plane on the wings. And ours, had the star,
Right.
the white star with a red ball in the middle of it.
Now, did you know it was the Japanese attacking when you saw those planes? Did you recognize the emblem on the plane?
Oh yeah.
So you knew the Japanese were attacking when you saw that.
And as far as though you can help but see that big red ball in the wing and on the side of the body, the fuselage.
Wow.
So close to them. But later on, some of our men got excited and they saw that red ball in the middle of our white star,
Mm-hmm.
and they're shooting it at their own planes.
Mm. Wow.
And they took that red ball out of that star, and that's just a plain white star. Did not know that red wasn't in there no more. They'd never be in there again.
No, sir.
And later on, they come out with them wings on the side of the star with the red, white, and blue stripes on them,
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything to add or ask or anything? I mean, is it?
If he misses anything, I'm gonna write it down.
I was going to say, have I missed anything over the past?
Pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you stay at Pearl Harbor for the next. You said until 1944. You're at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, that's when I left. I said there 3 years.
Okay.
July 41 to July 44. Like I told you, they wouldn't transfer us. They said they needed us there to work on them planes and keep them flying. And finally, they let us come back to the state, and they signed me to Naval Air Station at Corpus Christi, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
for 2 years. Yeah.
And so at Pearl Harbor, whenever you left Pearl Harbor, could you still see a lot of the battle damage and the scars from the attack? Or had they cleared out a lot of the ships in the ocean, sunken ships and?
Oh, did I have nightmares or what about it or what?
Well, did you just see a lot of the battle damage whenever after the 3 years of being there? Could you still see a lot of the battle damage when you left? Was there still a lot of damage?
Ship damage. Especially.
Ship damage.
Well, let's see. Now that Oklahoma battleship was capsized and sunk. All you could see was the bottom sticking up out of the water. Arizona was completely destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
They said the bomb went down the smokestack.
Mm-hmm.
And the other ships was damaged, burning. The California was parked, was anchored right out in front of our barracks. I could have thrown the rock for the net was from our doorstep there.
Wow.
And from there on down to the end of Fort Island, this battleship, they called it Battleship Row, was one right after the other, and some of them side by side.
Mm.
And the West Virginia battleship, it got underway when it was going on, trying to get out of there, and they got over there and ran aground.
Wow.
On the, what they call the West Lock section.
So, I keep going back to the Pearl Harbor attack, but I have more questions. While you were on top of that building, could you see people sailors jumping off into the water? Were you that close to it?
I didn't see them jumping off, but I saw them. There's a whole bunch of them, maybe all in one ship. They were running toward our barracks up there, trying to save their lives. And they had on their white Navy uniforms, and it's all smoked up and all from that oil and everything, smoking. And they run up there to our barracks to save their lives. I saw every bit of that.
How loud was it? Was it extremely loud with all the bombs going off?
Was it what?
How loud was it? Was it loud with all the bombs going off?
Oh yeah, that was awful. Concussion. The sound of it. It about shook the whole barracks and everything.
Wow. And so over the next few weeks, all the sailors the hospitals were packed, and you were temporarily repairing each seaplane, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
We're doing patching them up and everything to keep them flying. Working day and night. And finally, in about 2 weeks, things calmed down, and they let us go on Liberty. Before we get free once a week to go on Liberty, to go to Honolulu or wherever we wanted to go. And Liberty started at 10 o'clock in the morning. We had to be back at 4 in the afternoon. And I remember one time, on the ship, the guys go across Pearl Harbor over to, I think they called it Fleet Landing. We had and you had to wait for buses. Walk up there, we got off the ferry or the boat and wait for buses to go to Honolulu. One time there's so many sailors all going on the buses. Looked like I wasn't going to ever get on one. I just went on back to the station.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you stayed in the Navy until 1963.
Yeah, November 63, the day President Kennedy was assassinated. The packers was out of the house, packing the household good. And we had television on, or they told about it.
Wow. And so you, in 1944, after leaving Pearl Harbor, you go to Corpus Christi.
That's right.
And how long do you spend in Corpus Christi?
I stayed, supposed to have been 2 years. Where the Navy works, it's just 2 years shore duty, then 2 years sea duty. I stayed up, I think, about 2 years. That's transferred to, we had too many chiefs there. And they transferred some of us over to Pensacola Naval Air Station. And I went from Corpus Christi to there.
And so over the course of your next, 20 years in the military,
23 years.
23 years total.
Yeah.
But what did you just spend that whole time working on planes? And were you, at sea ever? Did you have to go out at sea for service?
Well, that's where I
Roosevelt.
made chief. I didn't have to work on them anymore. I was just the supervisor or shop chief, jobs like that.
He was
And
on
sometimes
Roosevelt, and that's
office
about that.
work.
And you were on the Roosevelt, is that correct?
That what?
You were on the Roosevelt?
Oh yeah, I went on there. Let's see where. I believe I was in Naval Air Station at Memphis. I believe that's where I was. They transferred me to the Roosevelt. It was out at sea over in the mid. And I had to go on another. I stayed in Norfolk, I think, about a week. I left there on a ship over the, carried me over to where the Roosevelt was over in the Mediterranean Sea, and the Highline, a cable run from that ship over to the Roosevelt.
And they put you on
My
it?
bag went across that cable over to it.
Was that scary?
It didn't scare me though, for no reason.
Would have scared me.
Right in the middle of the ocean or sea.
And so you spent some time on the Roosevelt, and what did you do while you were on the Roosevelt?
I was up, I worked on a flight deck. It's awfully dangerous. 12 hours on and 12 hours off. Working with night out in the middle of the ocean, sea. And it's the most dangerous job I ever done. I had to stand up there on the side where them planes landed at night. We wasn't allowed to have no lights, just like there's a real war going on. And I had to stand up there and watch the pilot when he landed. And he held his thumb up, if everything was all out on the plane, nothing had to be done to it for the next flight. And if he held it down, I had to go in and let them know in the flight control office there. And then I had to go get a crew of men to go fix whatever had to be done.
Okay.
And one time up there, in one propeller plane, flew too close in the other, and when it landed, and it cut the chopped the tail end out of the other, and there's pieces flying everywhere.
Ooh.
When the planes took off of the flight deck, they had to be sure everything was clear of the flight deck, so it wouldn't blow anything off or into somebody. And we had to grab down and hold on to something like that to keep them getting blown off of the flight deck. It's dangerous.
Wow. Wow. So in '63, you're honorably discharged from the military, and what did you do from then on?
Come on, I got out of the Navy.
Yes, sir.
I came on back to Mountain West up there. My wife and 3 daughters. That youngest one was born 4 months before I got out of the Navy. Jail. She's now 50. She'll be 52 years old in August, I believe. I came back up there, and I went back to high school. I just stayed there, and I had my own ground, acres, 43 7/10 acres, and a home. I just went back there and settled. I just worked for myself on my place and everything, as long as I was able.
Well, great. Mr. Busch, I really appreciate the interview. Thank you for your service.
Okay.
And that was a great interview. Thank you.
Well, I'll be